What's up, guys, and welcome back to the NoShang Invitational. We're in Game 4 between Fantastic Five and Power Rangers here, as PR do have a one-game lead, so they're one game away from maybe winning this series. And wow, it seems like we've gone full circle. I'm Mikelorus, going to be joined by Mrpdota for this fourth game. Shadow Demon Luna going up against Io Drow. I never thought I'd see the day.
Yeah. Both these teams not really changing much up. Fantastic Five, they want to take this to a game five and they want to do so quickly, so it seems. Power Rangers, they're going to need a little bit of wave clear on top of this opening, but definitely no slouches in the late game. Definitely can siege a little bit without peril to some extent using the disruption illusions. They can also use some illusions against the Drow Ranger. So decent openings from both sides. I slightly favor the IO Drow over the Shadow Demon Luna, but that is super contingent on what is to come for Power Rangers. We could even see something like a Shadow Demon Lena, which is a bit of a throwback support duo, but does provide them with the wave clear and the burst damage to bring down either the IO or the Drow, as well as to delay the push. Elder Titan, yeah, was banned actually by Fantastic Five in the first phase. That was another hero that's just great at delaying out this Drow Ranger push. And aside from that, all you want to see from Power Ranger side is fighting heroes. If you're not just going to see the simple delay and wave clear, you want to see heroes that can simply fight into Fantastic Five's lineup. And speaking of which, F5 have done a good job with their bans so thus far, taking out the Timber and the Kunkka.
See, I'm gonna go kind of the other way from you. I'm gonna say that I like Power Rangers more, not just to, do that whole thing where casters disagree with one another, but I think that this opening is potentially a lot more aggressive in the lanes. And that's really like where we see Drow Ranger
Sure.
drafts just fall flat on their face, where they have a Drow, have an IO, and just with those two, that lane isn't really strong. If you put a Luna +2 up towards that top lane, or up against the Drow Ranger lane, wherever that may be, you can really get a significant edge by keeping your Luna farming and denying the farm to the Drow Ranger. Now, of course, that really does depend on the secondary support pick for both of these two teams. But the potential for Power Rangers to shut down their Drow while at the same time getting the farm for the Luna is not something that Fantastic Five can do. There's no way for them to really shut down the Luna with this Drow Ranger. So it's kind of no matter what going to be in favor of the PR side, or at least assuming they are going to try to run some sort of pressure in the mid game. Yeah, the Drow Ranger IO is definitely a lot scarier, just because you always have to kill off the Drow, but you never really will be able to, at least not safely. But yeah, I favored the lanes. I mean, that's really where Drow Ranger
Yeah.
drafts are won or lost, in my opinion. Fantastic Five now going to go ahead and grab a Faceless Void, mostly just because you have a lot of range damage coming in. You might as well get a Chronosphere on top of it. Great versus Luna. Maybe not as great versus the Shadow Demon, but I can't really fault them for going for this one.
Yeah, it's also great against their opening. So Faceless Void, certainly a bit of a pick deny, so to speak. And whenever you have range cores, Clinks, Terrorblade, Drow Ranger, Chronosphere is always going to be an excellent tool to guarantee some damage in the fight. So really nice pick up in the third slot there from F5. Responses to Mirana. It's a bit of a flexible pick for PR. It provides them with some wave clear. Fairly safely with the leap on top if she's able to get up a reasonably timed Aghanims. Although, one level, or sorry, non-Aghanim Starfall, just the one Starfall is really not going to be enough to entirely provide them with the wave clear when the Drow Ranger lineup starts to be able to right-click into the tier 1s. So by the time they look at the tier 2s, Aghanims is a real possibility. But aside from that, can go, into the roaming position or into the off lane. Obviously, combos up nicely with the Shadow Demon. Doesn't seem like off lane is going to be the call, though, as Batrider, once again, for the third time in this series, going to be picked up here, this time by PR side. So Shashari Cat going to grab himself that Batrider once again. And Batrider, just in general, a very good hero against Drow Ranger lineups. Is a decent solo laner, can provide wave clear with the Firefly, and of course initiation right on top of the Drow Ranger with the marksmanship. Although there is relocate save potential, there is Chronosphere counter initiation, there's Dream Coil counter initiation, so there's a lot to deal with the Batrider in this one. Although on paper it's a good hero to have against a Drow lineup.
Yeah, just getting that initiation angle off, especially when you have a Mirana on your side as well. Just invis Batrider ganks, that's pretty darn scary for a Drow Ranger. I was gonna have to be there most of the time, and granted, the Iowa's almost primary job is gonna be keep this Drow Ranger alive, keep her safe. But yeah, we'll see. We do have the Night Stalker being banned out now, which gave Mirana mid lane a run for her money over in game 2, I believe. But yeah, for Fantastic Five, just looking for that secondary support. It's not going to be that Oracle for the Power Ranger side, not going to be the Night Stalker. Juggernaut is going to be the selection for the PR squad. And now these lanes are going to be a little bit more interesting. There's, I suppose, a chance of dual lanes, although I do still feel like Power Rangers are just trying to play this as aggressively as possible, trying to get down underneath the Drow Ranger timing with their own heroes, and with the sustain from the Juggernaut now, the push power from the Luna, the slow siege power from the Shadow Demon, and an abundance of pickoff power, try to take it above Fantastic Five. If above all else, though, Juggernaut, as far as damage dealing heroes are concerned, typically tends to be on the bulkier side, and with the spin, with the Omni Slash, can make quick work of a Drow Ranger or a Faceless Void.
I think it'll be a mid lane jug. Just because I don't really see any good solo safe laner other than the Bat Rider. So if they go aggressive, I think that'll be the play. I think regardless, Juggernaut is likely to go towards that mid lane, even if they put Luna in the defensive tri lane. So, in general, with the Poor Man's Shield, has a pretty good matchup against Puck. Puck doesn't really have all that much kill potential, but with the Precision Aura, it's a little bit worrisome for PR side. Regardless, the name of the game for them is going to be early aggression, as you mentioned. They're going to try and dominate these lanes. They're going to try and fight into the push, impending push of Fantastic Five. Keep the Drow down, keep the Wisp from being able to get up any sort of sustain item like an urn or a mechanism, as well as getting his relocate save potential there. So they also have Shadow Demon with the illusions of both potentially a Battle Fury Juggernaut, as well as the Luna in general can just look to shove the lanes thereafter, even if Fantastic Five gain a bit of an advantage early on in terms of towers taken. So Fantastic Five going to round it up with a Vengeful Spirit. This is going to make their lanes even a little bit more vulnerable, in my opinion. The Vengeful Spirit's not the greatest hero alongside an IO. Is generally a good tri-lane hero, but alongside an IO, not the greatest, as her range is very gimp. But it does help out, of course, with them being able to Rosh. We saw Fantastic Five in that first Drow Ranger lineup win, took 4 Roshans. So, Radiant Batrider once again in the hands of PR. Maybe they'll be a little bit more privy to those attempts and a little bit more willing with the arrow to scout as well. To be able to fight in towards the pit, and we'll see how they end up laning this. For now, Bignum's picked up the Juggernaut, so likely to go towards mid lane. We'll see if they opt for that aggressive tri-lane send around. Goddamn, again, it seems like that is going to be the selection from PR, and it seems like that was their, as you alluded to, kind of intention from the get-go with Shashari Cat in the safe lane as a Batrider.
Even with this Precision Aura, even with Vengeful Spirit's damage, this early game of Fantastic Five is going to be highly, highly contested here. Mid-game Vengeful Spirit, as far as saving the Drow along with the IO, make it so that killing off the Drow is going to be so incredibly difficult for Power Rangers. But in this early stage, they can really get punished, as we do have Smoke in for PR. They do have the Blessing. They will go in for a Disruption. RMN is going to absorb the arrow for Illidan. I mean, that's great for Illidan, but not as much so for RMN. Spun down by the Juggernaut. Will grab the kill there. Goddamn is very, very fast on this Luna. And even can run down Illidan. I feel J4, I think, should still be in range. He is still in range, so he can disrupt in just 10 seconds. Illidan is not going to get out from this one, although, no, well, RMN is going to return, give him a little bit of extra juice. The arrow will be dodged. But still, it's going to be First Blood drawn by PR. Maybe not on the target they really wanted, but maybe we're not done yet. Yol has a magic missile. J4 is going to hit with the orb, which will be jaunted to. Puck is going to get bubbled. J4 just wants to stick around and get this rune, but I don't think it's going to happen. He'll take the magic missile to the face, and he will go down. Bignum has no secondary spin. It's a 1-for-1 bounty rune trade, a 1-for-1 kill trade. And let's see if these lanes are actually going to be as aggressive as we were expecting. Yeah, they're heading up towards top lane. We got Batrider over in bottom, Bignum's over in mid. So, yeah, we expect to see an absolute bloodbath in this top lane.
Yeah, and just suboptimal for PR having the Drow Ranger pick up the last hit there. She'll be able to get up the Wraithband very quickly here. Actually can, as soon as she walks towards the side shop, and give that extra little bit of boost over to her allies in their lanes. So, decent start. But it definitely does feel like Illidan, once again, as we saw in the last game, is going to be pressured relatively heavily. And, PR, although they're not really going to stop BZZ from farming, Bignum, on the Timbersaw against the SK, maybe a bit of a misskill, but still did very well in that matchup. So expect him once again to come out of this lane with a very admirable amount of farm on the Juggernaut.
Rana right now just clearing out her little baby stack. Little baby camp on the side. Level 2 now on the Mirana, so arrow into leap. Just for the engage power of the extra movement speed. It's not substantial, but it is, a little more aggressive power from the Mirana. And now we have almost a full-on offensive tri-lane. But before we get actually fully into this, mid lane should be rather even. Both sides you would expect to get quite a bit of CS. And bottom lane, well, the Faceless Void probably is going to go ahead and get that stick up. He will be kind of under the gun as the Batrider just with Napalm and Firefly. Can very easily chase down Faceless Void even after he time walks out. So we do have to keep our eye on that one. In fact, he's going to go for Mag right away. Time Walk level 1 is such a long cooldown, and there wasn't enough stacks of Napalm there.
Oh,
Next time it may be, and over towards the top lane. Arrow going to come in. Off the mark, though. That just wasn't even juked by Illidan. It just wasn't going to hit anyways. J4 digs his way through, gets nothing. And it'll be Fantastic 5 to endure the first aggressive attempt here for Power Rangers.
It was a really nice play from J4, but he ended up using 2 tangos for it. He cuts through the trees into the disruption from the fog. But yeah, a bit of a misplay coming out from Yuba there on the Mirana, unable to connect on the arrow. So unfortunately, that's going to push them back and allow F5 to feel a little bit safe for the next bit. I mean, it's not as if Goddamn isn't farming on the Luna, but either way, that is going to be a kill attempt that was missed there. Now Arrow going to come through, will connect onto Illidan. They get the beam off as well. Overcharge, will it be enough to keep him up? That's not the case. Yol in trouble as well. 3 stacks of the Shadow Poison. One more right click, the beam from range. Goddamn, we'll get a double kill on the Luna. And much as we saw in the first game, PR with a very, very good start in this early game as well. Bottom lane, trading kills are Mag and Shashari Cat, but Shashari Cat will be the one to net it first. He'll be the one with the experience. So a really nice start here for PR in this game 4.
Oh, J4 up towards top. I think they knew that the puck had an invis rune. Now he's caught in a corner. Poor Shadow Demon is going to go down to the puck, gets the orb out, but Big Nim has no one to deal with in that case for a little while longer. As you said, Batrider getting the upper hand on this bottom lane engagement, which is almost to be expected until Mag gets level 5, levels 6, 7. The just rundown of Batrider is just going to be so hard for him to deal with, yet he also still is in a good enough lane where he is going to be close enough to the creep wave, so it's a very delicate situation here for the Mag Faceless Void. But the main story is up towards top lane. Like, the Drow Ranger is not really getting all that much farm. Goddamn's not getting a ton either, but man, you don't really need to get a ton of CS if you're getting a ton of kills. And PR just sticking it to this Illidan Drow as much as they possibly can. We even have the Vengeful Spirit now off lane. So J4 and Yuba, they can still look for these aggressive plays. There is no observer coverage in this area. There's just a random sentry here, which isn't doing a hell of a lot for the Dire. So they are doing their best at stopping this Drow Ranger. And with a Juggernaut in the mid lane as opposed to a puck, and with the Batrider getting another kill. Okay, well, Power Rangers going to look to start snowballing with their own pushing draft. Maybe not as strong, maybe not as kind of all in as a Drow, but can certainly get the job done.
Yeah, now 2 levels ahead as well. And with that big time walk cooldown, I think it's still 18 seconds at this point. Yeah, 18 seconds for Mag. That is going to be a very tough lane for him to stay in. He hasn't gone anywhere near this Iron Talon as well, so continually going to be more and more difficult. He really needs that level 5 for that extra 6 seconds off the cooldown on the time walk, and Shashari Cat has done a great job against a good player in the offlane in Mag to bring him down a couple of times. And they had the Sand King to get out of the mid lane. Yeah, Arrow's going to come through, is going to connect onto Illidan. They have the magic missile there onto Goddamn to try and counter initiate, but I mean the overcharge still isn't enough. Shadow Poison going to be there from J4 to finish off the Drow Ranger. And I was going to mention that they had the Sand King to get a blink, even if the Batrider is behind in the other game, but it doesn't seem like that'll be a problem at all. 5 minutes in, 1,000 gold up on the Shashari Cat. The arrow will fly through. 3 stacks of Shadow Poison, 1 beam. Oh, 2 HP on RMN. Yuba is going to look to chase him down. He should be able to tether back. Yeah, he will be able to do so towards Illidan, so that'll keep him safe. And tangoing out of the tree is the Mirana, so for now she should be all right as well. But goddamn, he's fast. Frost arrows are there. At least one will be. Now an illusion orb forward. Do they have the coil up? They do. They will catch it onto 2 as well. J4 will snap. He will die. Goddamn has 9 stick charges, but it won't be enough to keep him alive. He'll just withhold them for now to continue to fight in that top lane. But it is a double kill for BZZ towards the mid lane. It's going to give him a lot of gold towards a Veil, which will allow him to, fight pretty decently and dare them to fight into this push of F5. But it's a pretty big commitment away from their lane. Illidan is not farming in the meantime. He has 11 CS total on this Drow Ranger. So although it's a win for Fantastic 5, it's pretty much a question of how big a win with Batrider doing as well as he is, with Bignum doing as well as he is as well in the mid lane.
Again on this top lane, arrows coming in perfectly timed on the Drow Ranger. There's no Soul Catcher here, but I don't think it matters. Overcharge, no bottle through the tether. I mean, last time it was a full bottle charge being dumped to the Drow, and it still wasn't enough to get her to survive that. So just kill after kill after kill. This Luna still isn't farming incredibly high amounts of gold, but is still keeping the Drow Ranger down, and it is the Bat Rider that's really getting this Power Ranger side the significant advantage. Cheshire Cat is running around uncontested. Bignum did go down to the Puck. Now Puck at 4-0-1. Jeez. It's quite wealthy there, but Juggernaut still is working with another Omni Slash in just 10 seconds, and if he just doesn't go for those super all-out aggressive plays, should be just fine. I feel like we did see a very similar play to what we just saw towards top lane in a previous game where PR, or the Radiant side, just going way too deep on the top lane, gets sufficiently punished, but if they just hit the brakes, play it a little bit slower, play a little bit steadier, they should be just fine. Over towards mid lane now, BZZ. Looking at a courier snipe, Bignum is just itemizing, puts down an observer ward, doesn't see anything, and the courier just gonna walk away. Okay, that was awkward, but
there was
Bignum,
a lot on that courier as well.
yeah, ignorance is bliss, I guess.
Maybe you go for that as Puck. You feel pretty safe, I think. You have the phase shift to dodge the Omni, but either way, BZZ gonna look for bigger things, but they are gonna run into the arrow. Oh, he phase shifted just in time. Gets the waiting rift off. Coil onto 3 as well. J4 is gonna be the first to drop, and the jaunt out promptly by the Puck. Bignum will be able to make it out. No mana for Magic Missile there on the tail end of his spin. YW will just walk his way out. Yuba will be able to... he tries to drag the wave back, actually unable to do so. And now they'll look to push into this mid lane. They should be able to put a very significant amount of damage into this tower. Goddamn, though, in the meantime, is working on the safe lane Dire tower. So they should be able to at least trade a good amount of damage. Goddamn feeling a little bit anxious top lane. And is forced to back out. The arrow is connecting onto Yol with the Blade Fear. They'll get the Vengeful Spirit here. BZZ doesn't have anything left in terms of spells, so should have to back off as well. Soul Catcher comes out on top of the disruption. Waning Rift is there, but BZZ, phase shift, one more right click will finish him off. Double kill for Bignum. He still has an Omni Slash at this point. Arrow's going to fly out to scout. Goddamn's working on the tier 1 top lane. He should be able... he's going to leave it outside of deny range for now. So the safe play from the Luna, but has been free farming. And now you look at the CS, and the top 3 on the board are for PR's side. They've kind of caught up, in kills as well, whereas the Puck was leading heavily before. So things looking good for PR. You mentioned how strong they, composed the lineup in terms of the lanes, and it does seem to be working out for them here. 9-7, 9 minutes in, and no towers down just yet against this Drow Ranger lineup.
We see Cheshire Cat, he's gone for the Tranquils, he's actually gone for Drums before Blink Dagger, a true indicator of a successful early game for the Bat Rider. I mean, if you're doing really well, go for the Drums, get the stats, get the bulk, get the movement speed most importantly, and yeah, Blink Dagger will come a little bit later. But right now, he's getting free kills mostly without even needing that Blink Dagger, so why waste the gold, right? They're just sitting on this top lane even more, and now Bignum's actually going to join the fray. This may be a little bit too deep to go for Power Rangers. This is something that in theory can be punished, but Yol is going to try to hide behind the tower. Shadow Poison's going to see him. Arrow was already used. They have the bubble, though. And this Venge is super dead. Starstorm, dead. And Luna will take down the tower in the meantime. Over towards mid lane, BZZ will do something very similar. Just take down the tower. Pretty easy play there from the Puck, although Bignum is going to return. It's a little bit too late to actually get that deny. It's Power Rangers with control over the game, over a Drow Ranger draft, which is entirely relevant. Yeah, he's going to look to go in for BZZ. The Orb Jaunt was a little bit too far away, though. I mean, the big story is not that Power Rangers, I think, are ahead in this game. It's the fact that they're ahead over a Drow Ranger draft.
Yeah, definitely not something you would expect at this point. And they've been successful at, running into the face of Illidan's Drow Ranger in both of these games. Fantastic Five, they were able to take a relatively early set of racks in the previous one, but it's going to be very difficult to do so into this lineup. Having the Bat Rider there as well as the sustain from the Healing Ward, they should be able to fight into the Drow. And Fantastic Five, if I recall correctly, had a very early mech, and having Shadow Demon Kunkka for PR in the last game, they had no mech builder, so at least in this one they'll have the Healing Ward available to them. They've got a set of drums as well to help them extract themselves from any danger, so it definitely feels like they're a lot more prepared to fight underneath their structures in this one.
Moonlight Shadow is also up for the Mirana, which is, potentially a do-nothing ultimate, but is also an ultimate that lets you, make super aggressive plays, especially again with this Bat Rider. And he's not quite at that Blink Dagger just yet, but still his timing on the Blink Dagger, even after the drums, is looking to be not too out of the ordinary for Batrider that just simply rushes the Blink. So it's all coming up PR as long as they don't get too over aggressive in their positioning. Like right now, Luna is a little bit far away from the Shadow Demon, honestly, at least far away from my taste. The Faceless Void does have the Chronosphere, but with the scan there, goddamn, will fall back, and now they're going to pop the Smoke. Smoke and Moonlight Shadow gives Power Rangers so many options at this stage of the game. And it looks like if they run into anyone, it will probably be this Puck. Definitely the hardest hero to kill off, but definitely someone they can kill off if they land an arrow. There's the disruption. No, he's going to jaunt away before the disruption. Doesn't matter, though. Should still be a tower gained.
Yep, that'll at least force back BZZ, and they'll get down a deep lane ward as well, so should facilitate this tower being taken down. They'll lose their offlane tower in the meantime, but 12 minutes in, losing your offlane tower to a Drow Ranger is, I mean, something you can absorb, something you can manage. And Moonlight Shadow going to be popped top lane, but there's no mana for the lasso here. However, there is gold, and that's enough for a Blink Dagger. 12 minutes in on top of the drums here for Shashari Cat, so really good timings coming out from him. He's very rich, sitting on third overall on the net worth, and can constantly kind of deal with these waves pushing in, as well as facilitate a couple of pickoffs. Mag, to this point thus far, has just been unable to use his Chronosphere. Those 2 deaths proving very costly in the bottom lane early on, and the Radiant did have vision of him rotate in by virtue of this ward, so they know at least the Void is present down here.
Even if you do land that Chronosphere, most of the follow-up is going to be through right clicks, a couple spell casts from the Puck, but nothing super substantial there. So, they have to deal with that. They have to deal with the fact that their target may just be bubbled by the Shadow Demon, so you're going to maybe waste the Chronosphere up against just a level 2 basic spell from J4. It's not really the safest place to be a Faceless Void in this game. Speaking of not safe, they're going to jump in, find the Puck, Eclipse is going to be burned, and that is going to be the death of the Puck. Before the Mrpdota even cast the Starstorm, Puck was dead. So Blink Dagger now revealed to kill off a Puck. Doesn't get much better than that for Power Rangers, except for the fact that they will try to make it a little bit better by going for this bottom lane once again. Tower's already mostly dead, so it shouldn't really be too hard. Can they go for Roche, though? I don't think so, right?
Oh, they have lifesteal on Goddamn, but I don't know that it's really the quickest Roche at this point. You have a relocate, Puck's up pretty soon. I think you just take the tower. As you mentioned, I mean, with the reveal of your Blink Dagger, if you get a Puck, especially a Puck who's the highest contender in terms of net worth on the other team, you're very happy with that. So they'll grab the tower, they'll deal with the lanes, continue on their way in terms of their item progression. And I mean, there's really no rush for PR here. I agree in the sense that, if they take a Roche, that's absolutely backbreaking for F5's lineup's intentions, but at this point, they're very comfortable with where they stand in the game and just can continue to farm away. They'll scale better than their opponents.
And Mag messing with the enemies Cheshire Cat rather, going really, really deep to the enemy jungle. Again, something that can be punished, but like punishment is going to be happening going down towards bottom lane. They do not Moonlight Shadow for this. They smoke for this. They will now know that there's a real Puck around here. Gonna orb out towards J4. Magic Pistol is there to facilitate the kill on the Shadow Demon. They'll get him. Moonlight Shadow a little bit too late to help out, so Fantastic Five, they find a nice pick off. And now they're going to try to go for Roche. This is still incredibly bold, though they do have the Chronosphere and the Coil. They're going to be walking into a lot of overfarmed Power Rangers heroes. Arrow, don't walk into that. Good. And Moonlight Shadow, it's not active, but
still no goddamn.
They just don't feel safe staying here. There's so much stuff that Power Rangers can throw in freely without putting any of the heroes at risk. Plus, there's a Blink, Lasso, Haste Rune on Cheshire Cat.
Yeah, he can cliff someone here if he gets them. He'll just blink away to safety, just ensure that they're not going to be able to take this Roche. And as you mentioned, I mean, it's well worth the J4 buyback at this point. The Roche is just so pivotal to this Drow Ranger lineup, and they're still sticking around, the dire side is. But the arrow going to come through. It connects onto BZZ. That's going to be a 5-second arrow. Now they'll jump through. Bignum will get gusted up, though. Nicely played. But a jump forward. The lasso will find Illidan. Eclipse on the black lines is going to keep Yol from jumping in. The Chronosphere catches Bignum, but he's already under the cover of Spin. Now BZZ in trouble. Gets right-clicked down by Goddamn. Goddamn takes a bunch of spirits to the face. Doesn't want to snap this coil. The Gust will force him to. And the Luna will end up going down. The relocate, though, is back into the fire. And RMN, he's burning down as well as Illidan. Nice blink forward from Shashari Cat. He'll take both of them. Double kill for the Batrider. Starstorm from the Mrpdota finishes off the IO. And they do get Bignum and Goddamn, but overall they lose 4 heroes. They don't get this Roshan. and PR are going to be pretty darn happy with that overall. They lose just about 300 gold on their 2 cores, who still gain some experience. And on the other side of things, F5 are just going to have their timings pushed further back and their heroes falling further off.
That was an incredible Chronosphere, an incredible coil. But for F5, they didn't catch the Luna in that. And that could have been a lot worse. You start the fight off by getting tagged with the long arrow. Usually you just straight up lose it, just getting massacred. But goddamn came from the side with a level 2 Eclipse, I think, when he casted it.
Yeah.
So just destroyed everyone from F5 at that point. And they were able to kill off a couple of important heroes, as you said. But Cheshire Cat, he's got the gold. He's got the drums. So his stayability in these fights is extremely, extremely high. It looks like F5, they're not done just yet. They'll slide in one more time. With the amount of damage they're putting out, looks like they will, in fact, claim this Aegis after all is said and done. But even with this, they have to wait, first of all, for their Chronosphere to be back up and before they can make any significant push. And even with that, there's no guarantee that they actually take a decisive lead over PR. Arman's going to self-relocate into the bottom lane. That'll show him. Yul's here looking for a swap, but with Moonlight Shadow up, they can't see anyone. No Blink Dagger on the puck to initiate. And they're still going to try to beat this in as hard as they can. Just try to leverage their Aegis double life, again, to maybe take down some of these towers. Tier 1, probably pretty easy. Tier 2, not as much so, but PR can split push this. Or, hell, I think they could even probably straight up fight this if they really wanted to.
There is a mechanism, though, on F5's side, so that is a bit of an advantage for them on top of the Aegis at this point. Bignum shoving in mid lane just doesn't see enough people bottom lane right now to feel safe to do so. And now they will force a TP back from, at the very least, BZZ. So for now, they will be able to stifle the push of this Drow Ranger lineup with Aegis as the siege creep gets cleaned up there, but yeah, I definitely do agree that PR can look to fight this, although, you know, into a mechanism and an Aegis, with all their advantage, they may just concede this tower, farm up this ancient stack, continue to push the side lanes with Bignum.
Bignum's going to town on top lane already. He's the only one doing so, because goddamn J4, they have their eyes set on the ancient stack. Not a terribly huge one. Actually, wait, there's a lot of dragons hiding behind the trees. It is pretty sizable, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, goddamn should be able to clean this one out. And yeah, Puck gets his Blink Dagger. F5 get their Tier 1. But trading Tier 1 for Tier 2 already is not worth it. It looks like the Tier 2 top lane will be preserved. But ultimately, like, the gold gained from F5 there, though nice, is nowhere near what Power Rangers got after that same amount of time.
Yeah, so easily trading well in the economical department is PR's side, and they're just going to continue to widen this gap in terms of the advantage going forward. And as soon as that Aegis expires, you know, they will up the tempo once again. They've got the Force Staff up onto Cheshire Cat, who's played very well in this game as Batrider, perhaps the best Batrider of the series we've seen thus far. Getting those 2 solo kills on lane, on Mag, that nice blink on top of the 2 heroes in the last engagement to net them kills. And, you know, despite not being all that impactful perhaps in the team fights, Bignum has kept up very nicely in farm. He's got 1,300 gold on top of his phase Aquila Manta. He's been able to kind of dodge fights whenever necessary, apply pressure, force TPs back. So, you know, everything coming up PR, despite that Aegis going down. You know, it's something that F5 absolutely needed, but was something that PR could afford to give up, even though it wasn't necessarily ideal.
We have a pretty big difference also between this game and Game 1, where F5 also went for this Drow Ranger draft. They had a Weaver who, I mean, works pretty well with the Drow Ranger, but as far as late game is concerned, he's, you know, a pretty beastly hero. In this game, F5 don't really have this. They have Puck and Faceless Void, who are, you know, they're pretty good late game heroes, but as far as scalable damage, like to the point of a Weaver, in order to guarantee a win, should the game hit that 40-minute mark, they just don't have that. So they are still, draft-wise, kind of all in on getting this Drow Ranger draft to succeed. And with 20 minutes now breaking into the game, with no Tier 2 towers taken, I am concerned for F5. They're just not getting quite enough right now. They are, I mean, still behind, which is terrible for a Drow Ranger draft, but how do they actually get ahead? They have to take down towers. They have to try to still stick to their plan, because there are no backup plans. Like, there is no plan B here. You can maybe rat with the IO, but even then, you're not going to be, like, ratting like an IO Tiny can rat. It's nowhere close.
Yeah, no Tier 2s eliminated from the map just yet as well. So 21 minutes in, Drow Ranger lineup, no Tier 2s eliminated. The potential for split push is limited, I would say, at best. Illidan, he just has his Dragon Lance H-Stomp up at this point, and now jump forward. Lasso is going to find the RMN Wisp. They're not going to go for Illidan. They know he could be saved. They'll bring down RMN here. Bignum, he's going to be able to spin away. He gets swapped back. Moonlight Shadow is there. He's dusted up, though, and he will be brought down, but the Eclipse from the fog will bring down Yol. BZZ getting very low as well. Mag in trouble. Nice gust from Illidan to keep them at bay. Time Walk back keeps the Void alive. It's a 2-for-1 thus far. Definitely the more value going the way of F5, bringing down that very rich Juggernaut. And when all is said and done, the RMN Wisp just surviving a little bit too long. A nice swap back onto Bignum as well. And Bignum just perhaps too economical with his Omni Slash there. Never really popped it off. Perhaps only seeing BZZ's puck. And he's going to be brought down for that one.
Just the right-click damage of Drow Ranger with the Dragon Lance. It is still quite high. Plus 55 to a whole swath of heroes from F5 is not to be underestimated, and Juggernaut, even though he did live for quite a long time after all that, is still not going to be completely easy to bring down. But for F5, yeah, they do take a slightly better trade there in killing off Bignum while sacrificing their 2 supports. Now they lost their Aegis, so now making those aggressive plays, at least starting those fights, even if they did start that fight, is not really going to be super attractive for them. Yet they still kind of have to go for it. So yeah, in the short term, for Power Rangers, that's kind of an okay trade. Trade the Juggernaut essentially for the Aegis, and that's okay. In the long term, maybe it's not the greatest, but the long-term plan is almost for sure going to go towards the Power Rangers side. Plus, for right now, they do have another lasso on Cheshire Cat. Plus, he has a gem on top of that, which, yeah, no, I'm not sure if that's going to be doing a ton. Fortunately for F5, they did not use the Chronosphere in the last fight, so they're still ready to go with that. But then there's no one actually hitting this tower. They're just waiting patiently for some poor sucker to walk in.
Bignum does have a blink now as well, so as soon as, we see Shishari Cat going on a Wisp, he can jump right on the Drow Ranger's face, cancel the marksmanship, won't be able to take as much physical damage, and then can Omni out of it if need be, out of any danger. So I really like that pickup from Bignum here. Feels like it'll allow them to fight, and they know that F5 need to fight right now. So up into the Firefly goes Shishari Cat once again. Yol behind the Drow Ranger, and Shishari Cat, he won't be fooled by that. He's going to be able to blink forward. He'll find the Vengeful Spirit. They'll net up the Illidan Drow Ranger. They'll get the Omni Slash off. Yol's going to go down. The Chronosphere is pretty poor at this point. It's only going to catch Bignum just on the edge. But it's only been one hero down just yet. The Overcharge keeping Illidan up for now. RMN in a little bit of trouble, though. Bignum, he's very fast with the Manta and the Phase Boost. Should be able to chase down this with the Demonic Purge. Will pick him off. And now Phase Boots, Blink Dagger there as well. Arrow going to connect. Illidan is dead. 3 heroes on the sidelines, one of which 45 seconds down is going to be at very least a tier 2 here. Shadow Demon Illusion is going to help in that cause for PR, and they take a decisive win in the mid lane, 3-0.
Cheshire Cat is really putting his name up there for MVP of the series, like let alone of this game where he's by far the MVP. Like that initiation on the Vengeful Spirit, I mean, it's kind of what you have to do when you're playing up against Avenge as a Batrider. You go for her, you risk your lasso being snapped, but he was able to drag her close enough to the Drow Rangers so that the Omni Slash was able to spill over to kind of both of them. And ultimately didn't really work out all that great for the Juggernaut, just RNG sometimes is a cruel mistress, but either way, for F5, they are actually pulled apart way too early in that fight, not able to capitalize on the Faceless Void's Chronosphere at all. So that one's now wasted, down for 43 seconds, and for Power Rangers, they still have the Eclipse. That was an Eclipse-less fight. For them, they still have the initiation from the Batrider. In fact, it's just now cooled down again. Goddamn, broken down the tier 3s. We'll start working on all of the building at the same time because the Glaives, that's just what they do. Look at it go. Our man is kind of getting his ass kicked in the background of this one. And speaking of ass kicking, he's going to get jumped in on. Well, the coil is a little bit better to keep him safe. The Batrider will fall. Illidan's going to find a time to just sit there and right-click. Eclipse is not going to drop that many beams, only a handful. They do land an arrow into the Faceless Void, jump in from Bignum, and he will go down without doing anything here. Goddamn, will slip away. Blink in from Puck. One more shot. Oh, J4 blocks it with the disruption. He will probably still go down. J4, yes, will die here. But what a slick play there from the Shadow Demon. Now the Omni Slash going to bounce through. Take down 2. Looking for a 3rd. He'll grab it. Triple kill for Bignum. 4th in his sights. Blink Dagger in 3 seconds. Illidan is running the exact wrong direction to defend his base. Cardi the Catapult will kill off the range Raxes. It's Yuban J4. Oh, that's going to be the delayed ultra kill for Bignum. Caught up to the puck. A full team wipe. And now the insane DPSers of Shadow Demon Mirana will slowly chip down the mid lane. This game is busted wide open for Power Rangers, and
Yeah.
F5, they're on the ropes.
Yeah, Bignum with some really nice play in that engagement overall. The Blink Dagger affording him the positioning in order to do so, and picks up that level 3 Omni Slash, able to put it to work. Chases down Illidan there on the back end as well. So yeah, they'll have enough push power with this Shadow Demon still around to be able to at least take this tier 3 after that lane in the mid lane. But I mean, that should be after that Rax in the mid lane, excuse me. But that should be crippling enough. I mean, this F5 draft, they're not really slated well to deal with super creeps, and PR, we've already talked about how secure they feel in towards this late game. So add a Diffusal Blade, add a, on the Juggernaut, add an SNY on the Luna, add an Ags on Uba's Mirana now. And I mean, they just have more than enough damage. Blink in on the Drow Ranger, leap in into the Starfall. They should have more than enough to burst her down in due time in these next engagements.
Plus 3,700 on Goddamn too. I think this is probably another one of those games where you can just bulk up. You don't really have to worry too much about your DPS because it will be coming out over time, and just make sure you don't get bursted 100-0 without at least getting the Eclipse off. To that end, Satanic wouldn't be a terrible one here for Goddamn. BKB doesn't really have an incredible amount of value here, so maybe he'll just decide to bypass that. But honestly, even though it's 27 minutes in, a Dragonlance would just be insane for the Luna as well. But it seems like he has his eyes set on a bigger secret shop item. Okay, we'll just go for a Butterfly. That's good too, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of right clicks.
Just
so
kill things.
A lot of it's a catch-all, right? It gives you effective HP as well as damage. So also makes the Shadow Demon Illusions a lot tankier, and we kind of mentioned the single target nature of F5 thus far. I mean, they have a Veil Puck, but it's not going to be enough by its lonesome in order to bring these down. And there's really no other magic damage other than Time Lock on F5's side to benefit from that. So Moonlight Shadow popped up, and Shashari Cat's going to be right on top of all the targets he wants. They will get a swap out, but the arrow connects onto Yol. They'll bring down with Bignum the Wisp in the meantime. Double Starfall will bring down a second, and now the Drow Ranger is dead. The Chronosphere is decent here, but the Drow Ranger's already down. Bignum gets the Omni Slash off, brings down the Faceless Void, and Illidan buys back to find himself essentially alone in base. BZZ, he's going to be able to jaunt out to the west in a couple seconds, will be able to TP himself back home, but really seems to no avail at this point. He'll blink away. No Firefly vision just yet. There is a blink up in just a second for Shashari Cat, and he will be fooled by the illusory orb. But the rest of his team, they're marching towards the end of this one. 30 seconds on the sideline for the Void. Drow Ranger has bought back, so they can just blink into her face and use the Diffusal Blade charge to chase her down. Doesn't feel like she has all that much of an answer towards that. And the Glaives, once again, just going to go to work in this top lane. And in the blink of an eye, on this second set of racks, sub 30 minutes going to be taken by PR. And they are staring down a win in NoShang here in the grand finals. 6,000 USD will be their spoils. 3,000 to the team that goes second. And F5 heavily on the back foot here. If it weren't for their tier 2 in the bot lane, may have just been looking at a GG.
Double damage rune for Luna right next to a Roshan. Sure, it seems like a good plan. Or just go ahead and just go kill things. Because again, she has her Butterfly completed. 1,500 HP with quite a lot of armor though. 27 is an insane amount. Plus evasion up against, as you said, a mostly physical damage based draft. Goddamn is going to hold his ground. Time to fight like a warrior. Will slay the puck. Immediately buys back. Now he's going to get a lot of backup from Illusions. Mag slaughtered. Oh my god, boss mode, goddamn, is going off right now. Yuba's here to cut them both off. Our men gonna start the relocation back. But though it may save the Drow, it is certainly not gonna save the IO. J4 camping out here. And yeah, I mean, even as a Blink Dagger in either lens, you can't escape even if some weird shenanigans does happen, which won't happen because of the arrow and 2 shots. And also Puck is here for some reason, got dragged in by the Batrider. Everyone's dead for F5 except for the Drow, but this bottom lane is going to be pushed really, really hard. Power Rangers, I think they may have just done it. With a minute on the sideline for the Puck, they need his damage. Like, he's probably one of the heaviest damage dealers on their team right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. The IO had buyback, and it looks like got a little bit of save your teammate syndrome there. But, I mean, this is just going to get really hard to watch. Bignum's going to jump forward. Where's the Diffusal Blade charge? And he'll Omni Slash up Illidan, and that is a dieback on the Drow Ranger. The GG well played are going to be thrown out, and congratulations to PR despite losing one of their core players just a day ago. Good show of sportsmanship from Roman there from RMN. with the congratulations to them and PR. They're going to secure first place in this tournament that started before the Shanghai Major. No, Shang, we are finally putting this zombie to rest.
And no Shanghai Majors, they're just the gift that keeps on giving, right? That's what they say. Always memes. I mean, this one wasn't really up to snuff meme wise. Kind of disappointing in that regard. But man, it's been a hell of a long time. Finally, we're done. Big congratulations to Power Rangers. Big thanks to everyone, Zubu, Loot Market, D2L, all the people who helped sponsor this tournament. I'm Mikelorus. I've been joined by MRP for the vast majority of these games, guys. We are done with this tournament. If you guys enjoyed it, well, I think there are more other games, some other tournament going on here on this channel, so keep your eyes open for that one. Aside from that, follow us on Twitter at Mikelorus for myself, at Mrpdota for my co-caster. Any final words before we shut this down?
Please vote for Ember Spirit, guys.
Please.
Why is Juggernaut getting an immortal or an Arcana? Like what?
Can Ember Spirit do this? 11-3-8?
Yes. Please, guys. I don't
Yeah,
know what
Ember
else
Spirit
to
has a
say.
lot more potential than Juggernaut. I'm
I
gonna
mean,
agree to that.
I don't think. Yeah, like in terms of the cosmetic, I
Hmm.
don't think. I mean, I don't think he'll win regardless. Like you're looking at probably Io, Slark, and Pudge coming out of the other three portions of the bracket. But
Damn it,
eh,
IO. The
yeah, I
Cube IO,
yeah.
Companion Cube IO.
So
So
either
stupid.
yeah, Disco Ball Io or, I mean, I'm sure everyone will vote Pudge when it all is said and done, or maybe the Dirty rear their ugly head. But just I don't know. I put all my votes on Ember, guys. Help me out here.
Well, that's his last words. I'll see you guys later. GG, guys.
GG.